Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a bit of a tech head-scratcher that seems to be popping up for some of you, silent email notifications on your iPhone, especially after that iOS 18.5 update that landed back on May 12th, 2025.
Yeah, it's really frustrating, isn't it? That kind of thing can really throw a wrench in your day when you rely on those pings. Makes staying on top of things, well, almost impossible sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So our mission today really is just to give you a clear, step-by-step guide to hopefully get those sounds working again. We've been looking at the latest info, this is as of May 18th, 2025, to get you the best fixes we can find.
Okay, but it is worth saying up front, the experience with this update seems kind of mixed. We've seen people talking online, like on X. Some folks are saying 18.5 actually fixed their notification problems.
Oh, really? So it helps some people.
Yeah, but then others, and it seems maybe particularly people using Gmail in the Mail app, are still stuck in the silent zone. So we'll cover the main things to try, but just keep in mind your mileage may vary, as they say. Let's dig in.
All right, let's start with the basics. So real quick checks. First one, the trusty silent switch.
Ah, yes, the classic culprit. Just take a look at the little switch on the side of your iPhone. You need to make sure it's pushed towards the screen. If you see any orange showing,
That's the problem right there.
that's it. Orange means silent mode is on. You'll get vibrations, sure, but no actual alert sounds.
Good reminder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and sticking with things that might unexpectedly silence your phone, focus modes. Do not disturb.
Exactly. That's another big one. Swipe down from the top right corner of your screen. That brings up the control center. Look for a little moon icon.
The crescent moon.
Right. If that moon icon is highlighted, it means a focus mode is active, could be do not disturb, could be
Yeah.
something else, and that might be silencing your email alerts. You can just tap it there to turn it off.
Or you can go deeper into the settings.
Yeah, if you want more control, go into the main settings app, tap focus, then do not disturb, and just make sure it's definitely switched off there.
Okay, simple checks done. Now let's wade into the notification settings themselves, specifically for the Mail app. This is where you can really fine-tune things.
Right, so open up your main settings app again. Scroll down a bit and tap on notifications. Then find Mail in that list of apps and tap on that.
Gotcha. So once we're inside the Mail notification settings, what's the number one thing to look for?
Top of the list. Allow notifications. It seems obvious, but you gotta check. That toggle switch absolutely needs to be green, switched on. If it's off, nothing else matters. You won't get mail notifications.
Makes sense. Assuming that's on, what's next?
Okay, then look a little further down for sounds. Tap on that.
And this is where we make sure we've actually picked a sound, right? Not nothing.
Precisely. You need to make sure the check mark isn't next to none. If it is, well, that's your problem right there. You should see a list of alert tones. Tap on any of them to hear what they sound like.
And that also confirms the speaker is working, I guess?
Good point, yeah. It's a quick way to test if your phone can even play these kinds of sounds right now. So pick one you like, make sure it's selected.
Okay. Now, below sounds, there are other options. Badges, lock screen, notification center, banners. Can you give us a quick rundown?
Sure. Badges, those are the little red circles on the app icon showing the unread count. Lock screen and notification center control if and how email previews show up when your phone's locked or in your list of past notifications.
Right.
And banners are those alerts that slide down from the top when you're actually using your phone and a new email comes in. Just set those up however you prefer to see your alerts.
Now, here's something cool I found. You can actually set different sounds for different email accounts within the Mail app. Kind of like an audio filter for your inbox.
Oh, yeah, that's a really useful feature, especially if you juggle work and personal accounts. So from the main settings, go to Mail, then Notifications, and look for Customize Notifications.
Customize notifications, okay.
Tap that, and you can pick specific sounds for each account. So maybe your important work account gets a really distinct alert, while your newsletter subscription account gets something quieter or nothing at all. It's great for that kind of audio triage.
Definitely a smart way to handle email overload. Okay, so we've covered the Mail app's own notification settings pretty well. Where should we look next in this settings labyrinth?
Let's pop back out to the main settings menu again, and this time go into Sounds and Haptics. Scroll down a bit in there, and you should see an option specifically called New Mail.
Wait a second. Didn't we just set the sound for new mail inside the Mail app's notification settings? Why is there another one here?
Yeah, it seems a bit redundant, doesn't it? It's one of those iOS quirks, maybe. You've got the app-specific setting and then the system-level setting under Sounds and Haptics. Sometimes they seem to interact, or one might override the other if not set correctly, so it's really important to check both places.
Okay, so redundancy check. Go into Sounds and Haptics, tap New Mail.
And again, make sure a specific sound is selected, not none. You'll see the same list of tones, pick one, maybe even the same one you chose before, just to be consistent. You can tap play to test it here, too. If you still don't hear anything when you test it here, it might suggest a bigger issue, like maybe your main phone volume is down or some other conflict.
Got it. Double check both sound locations. All right, what's next on the list? Something that often runs quietly in the background. Low power mode.
Yes. Low power mode, you find that under settings, then battery. You'll know it's on if your battery icon turns yellow.
And how does that affect email sounds?
Well, low power mode saves battery mainly by cutting down on background activity. That includes things like how often the Mail app fetches new emails. So if it's on, your notifications might be delayed or maybe not come through reliably until you open the app.
Ah, okay. So it prioritizes battery life over instant alerts.
Exactly. So if you have low power mode on, try turning it off for a bit. See if that makes a difference to your email notifications coming through promptly with sound.
Makes sense. Okay, let's get a bit more technical now and talk about how email actually gets to the phone.
Yeah.
You mentioned fetch, push versus fetch.
Right. This is pretty fundamental to how email notifications work on iOS. Go to Settings, then Mail, then Accounts. Now tap on the specific email account that's not giving you sounds, then tap on Fetch New Data.
Fetch new data, okay. And inside there, we're looking at push versus fetch.
Yeah. So push is the ideal scenario. When a new email arrives at the server immediately pushes it to your iPhone, and boom, you get a notification almost instantly.
Sounds great. Does it work for all accounts?
Not quite. That's the catch. Push generally works great for Apple's own iCloud email and also for Microsoft Exchange accounts. But, and this is often the key point for Gmail users,
Right.
Gmail, when set up in the native iOS Mail app, typically uses Fetch. Apple kind of limits how third-party apps like Mail can use constant background connections for things like Gmail Push, mainly for battery reasons.
Oh, okay. That explains why Gmail might be different.
Yeah.
So how does fetch work then, and how does that impact the notification sounds?
So with Fetch, instead of the server pushing email to your phone has to periodically ask or fetch the server, any new mail for me, any new mail. You get to decide how often it asks.
So you set an interval.
Exactly. Still in that Fetch New Data screen, if Push isn't available or isn't turned on for your account, you'll see Fetch options below. You can set it to check, say, every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, hourly, or only manually when you open the app.
So for the best chance of getting timely notifications with sound.
You'll want to set Fetch to the shortest interval possible, probably every 15 minutes. Make sure Fetch is actually turned on for that account too, not set to manual. It's not instant like Push, but it's the next best thing for accounts like Gmail in the Mail app.
Okay, so check push fetch settings, aim for push if possible, otherwise set fetch to 15 minutes.
Got it. What other background setting might be involved?
Background app refresh. This is a general iOS setting that lets apps, well, refresh their content in the background when you're not actively using them. Find it under settings, then general, then background app refresh. Right, and how does that connect to getting email sounds?
Well, if background app refresh is turned off completely for all apps, or if it's turned off just for the Mail app specifically, then the Mail app basically can't check for new emails unless you physically open it.
So no background checking means no background notifications.
Pretty much. It needs that permission to run in the background to see new mail and trigger that notification sound. So first, make sure the main background app refresh setting at the top is turned on either for Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi and cellular data. Then scroll down the list of apps on that same screen and make sure the toggle next to Mail is also green, switched on.
Okay, giving Mail permission to work behind the scenes makes total sense. Now let's move on to a classic troubleshooting step for almost any tech problem. The good old restart.
You know it. Never underestimate a simple restart. It often clears up temporary software gremlins. So to do it, press and hold the side button and either one of the volume buttons together. Wait for that slide to power off slider.
Drag the slider.
Yep, drag it across. Give the phone maybe 10-15 seconds to fully shut down. Then just press and hold the side button again until you see the Apple logo appear. Phone boots back up and sometimes magic happens.
It's like hitting the reset button, clears out the cobwebs.
Okay.
And staying on the system level, What about checking for iOS updates again, even if we're already on 18.5?
Absolutely. Sometimes Apple releases smaller follow-up updates, like an 18.5.1 or something, specifically to fix bugs introduced in the main release, so it's always worth checking. Go to Settings, General, then Software Update.
And if there's anything there, just install it.
Definitely. Even if it looks minor, it might contain the exact fix needed for this notification issue. Can't hurt to be on the absolute latest version.
Okay, good advice. Now, we're getting into the more serious steps. What if someone's tried all of this, checked sounds, checked focus modes, checked push fetch, background refresh, restarted, updated, and still no email sounds?
Right. If you've gone through all that and the silence persists, the next thing to consider, and it's a bit more involved, is reset all settings.
Ooh, okay. Reset all settings. That sounds drastic. What exactly does that do? Does it wipe my phone?
No, that's the crucial part. It does not delete your data.
Yeah.
Your photos, messages, apps, music, documents, all of that stays exactly where it is. Safe and sound.
Phew. Okay. So what does it reset then?
It basically resets all the system settings back to their factory defaults. Things like your Wi-Fi passwords, you have to re-enter those. Your custom wallpaper will go back to the default. Any accessibility settings you've changed, network settings, keyboard dictionary, location, and privacy settings. And importantly, all your notification preferences will be reset.
So I'd have to go back and redo some of the notification settings we just talked about.
Exactly. You'd need to reselect your mail notification sounds, for example. But the reason to do it is that sometimes settings can get corrupted or conflict in weird ways that aren't obvious, and this gives everything a clean slate, settings-wise, without touching your actual content.
Okay. How do you do it? You go to Settings, then General, scroll down to Transfer or Reset iPhone, tap Reset, and then choose Reset All Settings. It'll ask for your passcode and confirm.
Okay, a bigger step, but keeps the data safe. Worth considering if nothing else works. And if even that doesn't fix the silent email problem,
Then, honestly, it's probably time to call in the cavalry. Your next best step is to contact Apple support directly.
because it might be something deeper.
Yeah, it could indicate a more complex software bug specific to your setup, or maybe even, though less likely, a hardware issue. Apple support has diagnostic tools and access to information beyond what we can cover here. You can reach them through the Apple support website, the support app, or by making an appointment at an Apple store.
Right, get the experts involved. Okay, that's a really solid troubleshooting path. Any final quick tips or things people might overlook before we wrap?
Yeah, just a couple of small things. First, when you make a change like selecting a new sound or turning off low power mode, send yourself a test email immediately.
Don't wait for a real one to come in. Right. Send one from another account or ask a friend. That way you get instant feedback on whether that specific change worked instead of wondering for hours.
Smart. What else?
Another quick thing to try is just force quitting the Mail app. Swipe up from the bottom of the screen to see your recent apps, find the Mail app preview, and swipe it up and away to close it completely. Then just wait a second and tap the Mail icon to relaunch it. Sometimes just fully closing and reopening an app can clear a temporary glitch.
Good old force quit.
Yeah.
Easy enough to try. And what if it really seems like the problem is only with Apple's Mail app?
That's a great point. If you suspect the issue is specific to the native Mail app itself, maybe try installing a third-party email app for a bit, like the official Gmail app or Microsoft Outlook or Spark or something else.
And see if notifications work there.
Exactly. Those apps handle their own notifications independently. So if you get sounds from the Gmail app, but not the Apple Mail app, using the same Gmail account, it strongly suggests the issue lies within the Apple Mail app or its integration with iOS, rather than your account or general settings. It could be a decent workaround too, at least temporarily.
That's a really useful diagnostic step, actually. And finally, just to bring it back around, that inconsistency we mentioned at the start.
Yeah, it's worth remembering. Like we said, based on user reports, iOS 18.5 seems to have fixed this for some, but not for others, especially some Gmail users. So even if you try everything we've discussed,
It might still not work.
it's possible. You might have done everything right, and the underlying issue might require another update from Apple to fully resolve for everyone. So don't beat yourself up if you can't fix it immediately. Keep checking for those software updates.
So summing up then, the main takeaway is definitely to check all those notification settings really carefully. The app ones, the system ones, the per account ones, and of course try a restart. Those often do the trick after an update like 18.5.
Absolutely. Work through the steps methodically. Start simple. Move to the more involved things like checking fetch or background refresh. Maybe try the reset all settings if you're still stuck.
And if you hit a wall after all that,
Don't hesitate to contact Apple support. That's what they're there for. They can dig deeper if needed.
Perfect. Okay, so as you go back and maybe tweak some of these settings on your own phone, here's something to think about. We talked about how varied the user experiences are and how complex these software interactions can be. What other settings on your phone, things that seem totally unrelated, might actually be subtly influencing whether or not that email ping sound plays? Just some food for thought. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.